Hey everyone, welcome back to Eye on the Time. Today we're going to be talking about a sort of hot new watch, although really it's a pretty cold new watch. I mean that both literally and figuratively. It's December in Ohio, so when I got it from the mailbox, the watch was freezing cold. Actually, it was so cold it kept fogging up once I brought it in the house. But this is the Islander and Lume collaboration called the Glacier-2. So let's dive into this review, guys. Alright, and here we have the first Islander watch on the channel. It is the ISL 295. It is number 45 of 200. This is a limited edition. And let's go ahead and open this up. Simple packaging, but very nicely done. There's some spare links in there. Those were from the bracelet when I resized it. It didn't come with spare links originally, unless you count that. But here is the Glacier 2 from Islander and Lume. Very beautiful watch. You can see that dial there. A great feature of this watch. Looks like a white birch is what Mark called it. I'd like to think of it as like cracks in ice, like you might find on a glacier. But anyway, solid watch. Included in the box was this nice multi-tool, which is great to see. This is the best multi-tool I've gotten from a watch company so far. Did I say multi-tool? This is a screwdriver, but you know it's got the nice rotating part to make it easier. Very nice touch. Now I'll mention this is my first Islander watch, which I thought would be a Northport, honestly, but on Black Friday they had the gray dial version for $2.99. I just missed out on. Actually had it in the cart, but I was shopping for a second watch, and by the time I went to checkout, it was sold out. So, sad day there, but this makes up for it. It's kind of the same as a Northport. Not really, but the white birch dial, as Mark called it, is really nice. I like to think of it as like cracks in ice, you know, like you might find on a glacier. That's another way you could interpret that dial. It's very nice watch. Now this is the second collaboration between Mark at Islander Watches and Eric with Lume. This is essentially a mini Seiko Samurai case. Is how Mark referred to it in his video, which you can find on his channel, Long Island Watch. Highly recommend checking out his channel. Okay, let's change it up and start out on the case back this time. First of all, it's a screw down case back, and you can see glacier, sapphire crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, and a wonderful glacier mountain engraving there. Limited edition of 45 out of 200, which is pretty funny because 45 has some significance in my life. So pretty funny I got 45. And then Lume and Islander. Very nicely done here. Yeah, 45 out of 200. These are all sold out. So you will have to find one of these used if you want them. I'm not sure what the market price might be, but brand new, this was $349. It came out to $375 and change after tax. And I can say it's worth every penny so far. And I already mentioned the 200 meters of water resistance. The glass is double dome sapphire with an inner AR coating. You can see the dome there, pretty nice. Coin edge bezel, which is 24-hour bi-directional. A little stiff on mine, but secure is how I like to think of it. It's not gonna, you know, move on you unintentionally. To go along with that screw down case back, we have a nice screw down crown with the Islander logo. Very nice. This is a Seiko NH34 GMT movement. Pull the crown out to the first position and rotate it up, and you can move the GMT hand in 1 hour increments. And if you rotate it down, you will change the date. And then of course pull out to the second position and you can set your time. Go ahead and make sure we got that screwed down, which you always want to do if you screw down crowns. Make sure you maintain that water resistance. Okay. Got these lug holes here to make strap changes really easy. And as you can see, you can reach down in there with a spring bar tool. These are solid end links and solid links. Nice mill clasp with the nice Islander engraving, push button deployment. The bracelet also features toolless micro adjust. Just press down on that tab and you can pull or push. Compared to my Erebus Ascent, this feels a little bit easier, although I got it stuck right now. There you go. So it could be smoother, but it's not bad overall. In practice, it works pretty well. So the wearing experience on the wrist is pretty good. It can feel a little top heavy, at least on my 7.5-inch wrist. Now, I say top heavy, it's not a bad thing. It's kind of more like a G-Shock. And I'm comparing it to things like my Erebus Ascent and my RZ Fortitude, which are pretty thin in comparison. My Pagani Design Daytona knockoff is more heavy than this. So this is somewhere in the middle of being like top heavy and bulky, but it's very, very comfortable to wear and disappears underneath the cuff nicely. And with that micro adjust, you get the perfect fit whenever you need it, which helps with the wearing experience quite a bit. Tighten it up there, and yeah, any of that top heaviness kind of disappeared. That's too tight for now. Wrist is pretty swollen. Gets hot in this studio. Coming back to the dial, you got that beautiful, well done white birch sort of dial. Again, I like to think of it as like cracks in the ice like you might find in a natural glacier. Either way, I think is very fitting for this watch, being called the Glacier. The bezel, which I mentioned earlier, is bi-directional. It's 24 hours. It is a stainless steel insert. Then you have applied indices with very good room for lume, which you'll see is pretty good here in a bit. There's a nice chapter ring on the outside. And you have the Islander and Lume Shot logos in the center, surrounded by the 24-hour GMT ring. And then at the 6 o'clock, you have the date window. Let's get the measurements real quick. I think I shouted them out earlier. I don't actually remember. My bad for that. Kind of depends where you measure the case. They have it listed as 37 online, but it's between 37 and 38, depending on where you measure it. We'll do the lug tip to lug tip, which was 43.6 on the website. And we got 43.7. You could probably get that. Yeah, press a little harder to get the 6. And then 14.3 thick is the website, and that's spot on for the case thickness. On the case here, you have a nice shiny finish. I believe it's brushed, but it still shines like it's polished pretty nicely. Same thing with the bracelet. And the bracelet itself is, as I mentioned before, solid end links and solid links. It's 20 millimeters. It tapers down to 16 at the clasp. As promised, we'll get a look at this lume. BG W9 Super Luminova for the majority of the watch, and then C3 lume for the GMT hand. And you can just see the bezel, like how great that lume is. This is easily one of my favorite watches when it comes to lume, and I'll go ahead and let's compare it to my Erebus Ascent and my RZ Fortitude. All three of these have strong lume, but the Islander stands out a little bit more, especially because that dial kind of reflects it better than my Aventurine and my black dial on the other two watches. This is a fantastic watch, and it's in collaboration with Lume Shot that lives up to being pretty good lume. Let's get one last look at this on the wrist, and then we will move over to our final thoughts. So my final thoughts on this Islander and Lume Shot collaboration in Glacier 2 is that for the money, this is a very well-made watch. It's pretty much everything that I've heard Islander watches were. You know, very good quality and value for what you pay. Like I say, I'm pretty happy. I like the brand. I like Mark, the owner of Long Island Watches. You know, he has his own channel, Long Island Watch, on YouTube, and he's kind of known as one of the more good guys in the watch industry. He has a lot of integrity. So I plan on being a customer in the future just because what he gave me here, well, he didn't give it to me, I paid for it. But what I got in this package here is just very, very good for the money. And there are some pretty attractive designs that Islander puts out. They're rotating like new ones in and out all the time. They just cleared a lot of stock on Black Friday. So there should be new stuff coming in probably, I'd imagine. I plan on picking up a lot more in the future. So I have other ones to, you know, kind of compare and see how the quality holds up. There's different price ranges, like the Islander and Urban Gentry. It's either the Ranger or Rangemaster 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to double check that, but that looks very interesting. That's around $700, I believe. And this one, like I said, was $349. Some of the Northports go for around $400. So there's different ranges. You know, there's cheaper watches too that Long Island Watches puts out. So yeah, I think you definitely should pick up an Islander watch if you've been thinking about it. Very good quality for the money. Pick up an Islander if you want to. Again, Mark's a good guy from everything that I've heard, and support his business. That's just kind of my feelings on it. Anyway, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. All the wonderful YouTube stuff that we love and enjoy. And let me know if you guys have an Islander watch, if you have ever wanted an Islander watch, if what would you like to see from Islander watches, just anything like that, you know, just let's have a conversation down below. And until then, keep an eye on the time.